As Donald Trump prepares for his second inauguration, a storm of legal and political controversy looms over his administration. The release of Special Counsel Jack Smith's final report has intensified scrutiny of Trump's actions surrounding the 2020 election. The report, made public after a prolonged legal battle, details what Smith characterized as Trump's criminal efforts to overturn the election results. In a significant revelation, Smith stated that had Trump not won the election, there was sufficient evidence to secure a conviction for election interference. He emphasized that the investigation was conducted independently and without influence from political actors, firmly rebutting Trump's claims of a politically motivated prosecution. "To all who know me well, the claim from Mr. Trump that my decisions as a prosecutor were influenced or directed by the Biden administration or other political actors is in a word laughable," Smith wrote. The report, consisting of 137 pages, outlines Trump's alleged attempts to subvert the electoral process, including pressuring then Vice President Mike Pence to delay the certification of results and orchestrating the assembly of a false slate of electors. Smith's team conducted extensive interviews, more than 250 individuals, and reviewed evidence that pointed to Trump's direct involvement in a campaign to undermine the election outcome. This culminated in the January 6 Capitol riot, which Smith argues was incited by Trump's rhetoric. While prosecutors stopped short of charging Trump with incitement, they concluded that his words inspired violence among his supporters. The report highlights that many rioters cited Trump's influence as a motivating factor for their actions that day. However, Smith noted that his office could not definitively establish Trump's intent to incite the violence that unfolded during the Capitol breach. The report also underscores the psychological toll on law enforcement present during the riot, with many officers suffering from lasting trauma. Smith detailed instances of violence against police, emphasizing that the events of January 6 had a profound impact on both the individuals involved and the broader fabric of American democracy. As Trump faces these legal challenges, he continues to label the investigations as politically motivated witch hunts. His defense team has called for the removal of Smith from his post and has sought to limit the release of the special counsel's findings, arguing that it represents a weaponization of the justice system against the former president. Trump's legal battles intersect with his political ambitions as he prepares to assume office once again, vowing to pardon many convicted in connection with the January 6 events. In parallel to these developments, Trump is also moving forward with his administration's cabinet selections, with confirmation hearings for his nominees set to begin. The Senate hearings will scrutinize candidates such as Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense amidst allegations of misconduct and controversial statements regarding military policy. As his administration takes shape, the implications of Smith's report and the ongoing legal matters could significantly influence Trump's governance and the Republican Party's landscape moving forward. As the nation watches, the coming weeks will be crucial in determining how these legal challenges will unfold and how they will shape the narrative of Trump's presidency. With a divided political climate and the specter of ongoing investigations looming, the implications of these events will likely resonate through the 2024 election cycle and beyond. In the wake of devastating wildfires sweeping through Southern California, a poignant reminder of the true heroes emerges: police officers and first responders who, despite facing harsh criticism, remain steadfast in their commitment to public safety. The current crisis has highlighted the often overlooked dedication of these individuals who work tirelessly to safeguard their communities in the face of adversity. The recent wildfires have wreaked havoc across regions like Hollywood and Los Angeles, claiming lives and displacing thousands. As reported, over a dozen fatalities have been linked to the fires, with more than 1 million residents left without power and many forced to evacuate their homes. The destruction is staggering, with entire neighborhoods reduced to ashes. Yet amid this chaos, law enforcement officers are on the front lines. ensuring that evacuations are conducted safely and that those affected receive the help they need. Michael Lutz, the founder and president of Invest USA, emphasizes the crucial role that police officers play during such emergencies. In his piece, Lutz argues against the notion that police are adversaries to the community. He reflects on the backlash against law enforcement that gained traction in recent years, particularly during movements advocating for defunding the police following the tragic death of George Floyd in 2020. Lutz asserts that while there are certainly problematic individuals within any profession, the majority of police officers are committed to protecting and serving their communities, often at great personal risk. As the wildfires rage on, Lutz notes, thousands of officers are out there right now, working alongside firefighters to safely evacuate people from devastated communities. Their actions stand in stark contrast to the vocal critics, who may be quick to judge without understanding the complexities of the job. He articulates a sentiment that resonates with many during these challenging times. The bravery exhibited by these officers is a testament to their dedication as they put their lives on the line while facing the threat of public scrutiny. This ongoing crisis serves to remind the public of the sacrifices made by first responders. It also raises important questions about the broader societal attitudes towards law enforcement. Lutz urges the community to recognize these officers as the true heroes they are, stating, "Consider this the next time you hop on Facebook," alluding to the often negative portrayals that circulate on social media. As we look to the future, the resilience of these officers and their commitment to community safety will undoubtedly play a pivotal role in the recovery efforts. The current situation not only highlights the importance of law enforcement, but also invites a re-evaluation of public discourse surrounding police and their roles in society. In a time marked by division and criticism, it is essential to acknowledge those who put themselves in harm's way for the greater good. In conclusion, as California grapples with the aftermath of these devastating wildfires, the spotlight remains on the unsung heroes, police officers and first responders. Their bravery and dedication exemplify the spirit of service that is vital in times of crisis. It is crucial for society to support and uplift these individuals, recognizing their contributions to community safety and resilience. As recovery efforts unfold, the conversation surrounding law enforcement will likely evolve. And perhaps a greater appreciation for their role in safeguarding the community will emerge from the ashes of this disaster. In recent weeks, British public sentiment toward Elon Musk has taken a sharp turn as his controversial statements on social media have ignited significant political discourse within the UK. Despite being an unpopular figure, with opinion polls indicating that only 20% of Britons view him favorably, while a staggering 71% hold an unfavorable view, Musk's impact on British politics cannot be overlooked. His recent foray into UK affairs, particularly concerning a long-standing child sex abuse scandal, has thrust him into the spotlight, drawing attention to issues that many in the political establishment would rather avoid. Musk's engagement with the British political landscape coincides with a broader media ecosystem that is increasingly polarized. His critique of the Labour government, particularly regarding the handling of historical child exploitation cases in towns like Rotherham, has resonated with right-leaning media outlets eager to amplify his calls for a new national investigation. His assertions have not only revived discussions about these deeply troubling incidents, but also compelled political figures such as Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Conservative Party, to adopt a more aggressive stance on the issue despite previous government reticence. The Labour government, having won a landslide victory in July, now finds itself in a precarious position. While Prime Minister Keir Starmer initially dismissed calls for a new investigation as opportunistic, the sustained pressure from Musk's posts and media coverage has led him to reconsider. Starmer now claims to have an open mind about the demands for a renewed inquiry, illustrating how an external force like Musk can shift political narratives and agendas. This phenomenon raises important questions about the dynamics of British politics in an era defined by social media influence and partisan divisions. According to Sundar Katwala, director of the research organization British Future, Musk's online activism has played an enormously influential role in shaping the political discourse. His posts, largely disseminated through the platform X, formerly Twitter, have reached key audiences in Westminster and among journalists who are often tasked with setting the political news agenda. However, the reality remains that Musk's popularity in the UK is waning, demonstrating an intriguing disconnect between social media influence and public sentiment. The reaction from the Labour government underscores the challenge of navigating issues that evoke strong public emotions, especially those concerning the exploitation of vulnerable populations. Jess Phillips, the Minister for Safeguarding and Violence Against Women and Girls, previously advocated for a localized inquiry rather than a national investigation, only to be met with backlash from both Musk and the public. The reality of the situation is that the crimes Musk has highlighted are so egregious that they would likely draw significant attention regardless of how they were presented, yet Musk's involvement has undoubtedly amplified the urgency and visibility of the discourse. Moreover, Musk's interventions have emboldened the Conservative Party, which has seen an opportunity to exploit the situation to its advantage. The party's alignment with Musk's rhetoric represents a strategic pivot as they seek to regain relevance in the face of a Labour government that is now perceived as vulnerable to outside influence. Former Prime Minister Boris Johnson's dismissive remarks about past investigations now seem particularly ill-timed. As the political landscape shifts in response to Musk's provocations, this interplay of media politics and social influence raises broader concerns about the role of billionaires in shaping public policy and discourse. Claire Enders, a media researcher, draws parallels between Musk and Rupert Murdoch, suggesting that Musk's approach is less about acquiring media power and more about discrediting existing institutions. This perspective highlights the disruptive potential of individuals like Musk in a political landscape that is increasingly susceptible to outside pressures. As the situation continues to evolve, it remains to be seen how the Labour government will respond to the mounting pressure and whether Musk's influence will persist in shaping political narratives in the UK. The confluence of public outrage over historical abuses and the opportunistic maneuvering of political parties suggests that Musk's foray into British politics may have lasting implications. With an impending election cycle and growing scrutiny of governmental accountability, the dynamics of this discourse will undoubtedly play a pivotal role in the future of British politics. As the year progresses, it will be crucial to monitor how these intersections of power, media, and public sentiment continue to unfold. As the United States navigates a complex economic landscape, the discourse surrounding fiscal policies and their ramifications continues to intensify. Recent developments suggest that the nation's economy may not require sweeping reforms initially proposed by former President Donald Trump, as various stakeholders weigh the potential impacts of both maintaining and altering existing tax structures. On one hand, the National Association of Manufacturers (NAM) has issued a stark warning that failing to renew the Trump-era tax reforms could result in the loss of nearly 6 million jobs and a significant downturn in the economy, estimating damages exceeding $1 trillion. NAM President Jay Timmons emphasized the urgency, stating, "The time to act is now." Millions of American workers are depending on the manufacturing sector to continue driving America forward. This sentiment echoes concerns from various economists regarding the manufacturing sector's pivotal role in sustaining economic growth, particularly in states heavily reliant on tradable income generated from manufacturing. However, contrasting viewpoints have emerged, suggesting that the current robust state of the U.S. economy might not necessitate the extensive reforms championed by Trump. Some analysts argue that the economy is already on stable footing, with consumer spending and job growth remaining resilient. This raises questions about whether aggressive tax cuts and reforms are the best path forward, as some policymakers including Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren have framed the debate around the need to unrig the economy, advocating for a more equitable distribution of wealth and resources instead. In Arkansas, local initiatives are demonstrating the potential for economic growth through innovation rather than broad tax reforms. The state's outdoor economy has become a significant revenue generator with over $4.5 billion in annual income and the creation of jobs across various sectors. The University of Arkansas is actively fostering entrepreneurship through its Greenhouse Outdoor Recreation Program, which supports startups in the outdoor recreation space. This model illustrates how targeted support for specific industries can stimulate economic growth without the need for sweeping national tax reforms. Meanwhile, in North Carolina, business leaders gathered at the annual Economic Forum to discuss pressing issues such as housing and job creation. Gary Salamito of the NC Chamber noted that the state remains an attractive destination for business growth, emphasizing the need for strategic discussions to maintain this competitive edge. This localized approach highlights a growing trend where state and regional strategies are prioritized over overarching federal policies. The economic narrative is further complicated by the rising bond yields in the UK, which have raised concerns about government economic plans being jeopardized. As bond investors demand higher yields due to inflation and debt worries, the UK has found itself under pressure. A situation that could serve as a cautionary tale for US policymakers contemplating aggressive fiscal changes. As these discussions unfold, the need for a balanced approach becomes apparent. The focus may need to shift from broad tax reforms to more nuanced policies that consider regional economic conditions, industry-specific challenges, and the imperative for sustainable job creation. With various stakeholders advocating for different paths forward, the future of U.S. economic policy remains uncertain. However, it is clear that any proposed changes will need to be carefully calibrated to protect the gains already made while fostering an environment conducive to innovation and growth. In conclusion, as the U.S. economy continues to evolve, the dialogue around fiscal policy reform will likely remain a central theme. Stakeholders from various sectors will need to collaborate to craft strategies that not only stimulate growth, but also ensure that the benefits of such growth are equitably shared. The upcoming months will be crucial as policymakers assess the impacts of existing tax structures and consider the best pathways to enhance economic resilience in an ever-changing global landscape. In a politically charged atmosphere, the confirmation hearing for Pete Hegseth, President-elect Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense, commenced this Tuesday, marking a critical moment in shaping the future of U.S. military leadership. As senators gathered to scrutinize Hegseth's qualifications, the discussion turned not only to his military background but also to a series of controversial past statements and allegations that could jeopardize his bid for one of the highest positions in the national security apparatus. Hegseth, a former co-host of Fox News' Fox and Friends Weekend and a veteran of the Army National Guard, positioned himself as a change agent keen on steering the Defense Department away from what he describes as woke policies. In his prepared remarks, he stated, "It's time to give someone with dust on his boots the helm," emphasizing his military experience and commitment to national security. Trump lent his support via social media, wishing Hegseth luck and asserting his complete and total support. However, Hegseth's path to confirmation is fraught with challenges. Allegations of sexual assault dating back to 2017 have resurfaced alongside past criticisms of women serving in combat roles, which he has since attempted to soften. These issues were brought to the forefront during the hearing by senators from both parties, including prominent veterans like Joni Ernst and Tammy Duckworth, who pressed Hegseth on his controversial comments and past conduct. Duckworth, a Democrat and Iraq War veteran, succinctly stated, "He's the most unqualified person to ever be nominated for Secretary of Defense," highlighting the weight of scrutiny he faces. Senator Jack Reed, the Armed Services Committee's top Democrat, articulated a broader concern regarding Hegseth's qualifications. He pointed out that the next Secretary of Defense must possess the experience, wisdom, and character to navigate complex global challenges, particularly in the face of threats from nations like China and Russia. Reed openly questioned Hegseth's capability to meet these demands, citing his history of mismanagement in previous roles and the serious allegations against him. As the hearing progressed, Hegseth was met with interruptions from protesters who accused him of misogyny and questioned his commitment to peace in regions like Gaza. His supporters, however, rallied outside the hearing room, expressing their belief in his capacity to lead the military effectively. Senator Tommy Tuberville remarked on the anticipated backlash against Hegseth, asserting that he will be ripped, yet he remained hopeful that the nominee would ultimately prevail. Hegseth's military credentials include 2 Bronze Stars earned during deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan, yet critics argue that he lacks the senior military and national security experience typically expected of a Secretary of Defense. His previous comments about military diversity have also drawn ire. He has claimed that diversity is not our strength, which Reed countered by asserting that a diverse military is not only stronger but also more effective. The hearing has broader implications as it reflects ongoing tensions within the Republican Party regarding Trump's influence and the future direction of military policy. With a narrow GOP majority in the Senate, Hegseth's confirmation hinges on solid Republican support amid the looming threat of opposition from a unified Democratic front. Senate Majority Leader John Thune indicated that a concerted effort would be made to ensure Hegseth's confirmation, but the path ahead remains uncertain as senators weigh both his qualifications and the serious allegations against him. As the confirmation process unfolds, the ramifications of Hegseth's potential appointment will extend beyond personnel decisions, potentially shaping U.S. military strategy and domestic policies for years to come. If confirmed, he will inherit a military facing numerous global crises, from recruitment challenges to conflicts in volatile regions such as the Middle East. Hegseth's ability to address these issues while navigating the political minefield of his confirmation will be crucial in determining his effectiveness as Secretary of Defense. The outcome of this hearing will not only influence the immediate future of the Pentagon, but may also set a precedent for future nominees, reshaping the landscape of defense leadership in a time of significant geopolitical tension. As the Senate deliberates, all eyes will remain on Hegseth, whose confirmation could either reinforce or fundamentally alter the trajectory of U.S. defense policy under the incoming Trump administration. In an era where practical skills and real-world applications are increasingly emphasized in education, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill UNC is setting a notable precedent through its innovative diplomacy initiative. This program, designed to prepare students for the complexities of international relations, incorporates simulation exercises that mimic real-world scenarios, thus fostering critical skills in diplomacy, negotiation, and empathy among its participants. At the heart of this initiative is Associate Professor Michael Morgan, who recently received a Curriculum Development Award from UNC Global Affairs to create an immersive simulation of the Cuban Missile Crisis. "It sounded like fun," Morgan remarked, reflecting on his own experiences as a student engaging in similar exercises. The simulation, which condensed the 13-day event into a single class period, tasked students with assuming roles of key figures from the U.S., the Soviet Union, and Cuba. This hands-on approach not only deepened their understanding of historical events, but also honed their ability to navigate complex discussions under pressure. Morgan's teaching assistant Mark Thomas Patterson collaborated closely with him to develop the simulation. Students communicated solely through written messages akin to radio broadcasts, reflecting the limitations faced by diplomats during the actual crisis. This method effectively mimicked the real-life challenges of decision-making amidst incomplete information and differing viewpoints. Morgan noted the simulation captures in a pretty faithful way the difficulties of making decisions under time pressure. The benefits of experiential learning extend beyond historical simulations. Emmy Grace, Program Manager for Global Education at UNC Global Affairs, emphasized its importance for students pursuing careers in international relations. Engaging in such activities equips them with the tools necessary to address future global challenges. Morgan and Whitaker, another professor involved in the initiative, have noted the positive responses from students which have encouraged them to continue integrating simulations into their curriculum. Fergus Pandy, a student from Australia, shared his experience of participating in the simulation for the first time. When you have to demonstrate your knowledge on a topic in front of your classmates and your teacher, there's a certain expectation that you prepare more, he said. This sentiment underscores the initiative's effectiveness in not only enhancing knowledge, but also in fostering a sense of responsibility and engagement among students. As UNC Global Affairs continues to accept applications for curriculum development awards for the upcoming semesters, the university's commitment to experiential learning signals a growing recognition of its value in education. This initiative not only prepares students for careers in diplomacy and international relations, but also cultivates future leaders equipped to navigate the intricate landscape of global politics. Looking ahead, the success of such programs may influence how educational institutions design curricula that prioritize real-world applications, ultimately shaping a generation of informed and capable leaders ready to tackle the pressing challenges of our time.